massive security flaw with Ethereum that nobody wants to talk about right now. Dogecoin is inevitably going to pass ETH. This security flaw should not be glossed over whatsoever. It's extremely important to talk about it. And that is, of course, now that Ethereum has switched over to proof of stake, it leaves it vulnerable to a government or large power taking over the cryptocurrency. Now, before, when Ethereum was under the proof of work system, you had to actually have a physical operation, and it would have to be extremely expansive. Very difficult to do that, to have one centralized power controlling a system like that. Vitalik Buterin, the founder of Ethereum, has been smashing Bitcoin over and over again with his words. Security flaw this, security flaw that. But at the end of the day, the only cryptocurrencies that have viable chances to become the currencies of Earth are those that are on the proof of work system. And let me explain to you more details of exactly why that is. So when you look at proof of stake, all you have to do is own that crypto, and then you now have power and operational inside the cryptocurrency. So you can then mine the crypto, you can make decisions about it just simply by owning a certain amount. So all it would take, if, say for example, China wants to take over Ethereum now, all they need to do is just have enough money to be able to get more than 50% of the $163 billion market cap. So that's all they would need. Elon Musk alone could take over Ethereum right now if he wanted to. So could other people. Big countries, big organizations, big investment groups, giant banks, all of them could, in theory, take over Ethereum. Why is it a bad idea to put a monetary barrier alone? Well, this is exactly why. As it gets bigger, that increased challenge is supposed to go up with it. As Ethereum got bigger, well, it became harder and harder to establish a physical control over Ethereum by having enough miners to do so. Every single day, that got way more difficult. Now, though, it's gotten very easy to take it over. When financial is the only barrier, then who can't get over that if they're powerful enough? And that's exactly what we want to avoid. Big, powerful groups taking over cryptocurrency. So this right here, I think, is probably one of the best cases for Dogecoin. Now, that doesn't mean Ethereum can't be a good investment. That doesn't mean it still has good, it doesn't have good bones and good abilities when it comes to NFTs and smart contracts and things like that. Yes, Ethereum is good. Yes, it can do positive things. But at the end of the day, for a currency of Earth, we cannot, under any circumstances, have a currency that can be taken over by a government that easily. Otherwise, it likely will happen. China, who wants to control the planet, wouldn't absolutely have anything wrong with them taking over that portion of it. They can afford it. They can do it. Why wouldn't they? It becomes way simpler and easier now. And so we just have to keep that in mind. And the bigger it gets, the more important it is that it does have that security barrier in place. And we have articles that are coming out about this too. This one, for example, the security budget flaw that proof of stake introduces, and you can see they talk in detail about some of the things I just mentioned in this article. So a lot of people are a little bit worried now. Ethereum, they just wanted the headlines. They just wanted to go, oh, here, look, we're good. We're such good guys. We cut our energy down. But Ethereum now no longer can become the currency of Earth, which means that it cannot, even in its former state, it was way more efficient, both energy-wise and economically, than the current systems we have now, the current banking systems. And so the shift already would have been extremely helpful, and now, though, they're basically just putting Dogecoin in a prime position to become the currency of Earth, and Bitcoin now also stands out even further from Ethereum in terms of its viability long-term. Just something to consider here. Now, there are some advantages of proof of stake, right, in terms of the inflation rate of the coin per year. If there is not an attack like that from a country like China, where they try to take it over financially, then yes, it could end up having positivity. Overall, it's not an entirely negative thing. All that we're saying here is it just opens the door to risk, and that simply means it cannot, under any circumstances, be the currency of Earth. Can it be one of them? Okay, that's one thing. It just simply cannot far surpass all of the other currencies and become the main one used, because that is too risky by far. Just something to consider. Their update on 1K ETH giveaway. Did all 3 winners claim the prize? So right now, 2 of the winners have claimed the prize. Technically, only 1 has actually been paid so far, because the other one, I'm still waiting for him to send me his contract address. I've been waiting a little bit for that, but he did claim it. So 2 have claimed it. 1 still has not yet. So we're getting closer and closer and closer to see if he's going to claim it or not. Actually, no, I will say, I sent him an email and also a message on Patreon. I have not checked email or Patreon yet, so maybe he has already claimed it. I checked it earlier this morning, and there was no response yet. I have not checked it since then, so maybe he has responded and claimed it by now. I'm actually not sure. Has it been 24 hours yet since we did the giveaway? I do not know. Let me know if it has or hasn't been. But yeah, if he hasn't claimed it yet, then yes, I will be sending it to someone in the chat. I mean, maybe I should try to reach out to him one more time, and at the very least, maybe we could say, like, okay, if he doesn't claim it and I give it to someone else, then we'll still send him something, right? Because he still won. If in like a month from now he says, hey man, I didn't realize I won, here we go, you can have something. It's just not going to be the full amount because you didn't claim it. It's on you. What wasn't me? LOL. It says OG Doge King. I do not believe it was you. OG, was it you? What's? I know you as OG Doge King. What's your actual name? Tell me your. I put an actual name there because it's from the Patreon. And so what's your actual name, OG Doge King? Then I can know if it is you or not. See, that's the funny thing about the internet is that a lot of times we know each other by our nicknames. Like you may know me as Final Stand rather than Matt Wallace, even though you probably know me as Matt Wallace and Final Stand. But for a lot of people, you may know them only by their nickname. So it's just kind of funny. Let's go Doge says Cultural Politics 2.0. I feel like a winner says Morty OGs. That's good. As long as you're holding Dogecoin, you should feel like a winner. Why the heck not? But let me go ahead and move my big old face over here. Now it's my tiny face now. My little face. You can see here, the current market cap of Ethereum is 163 billion. So for Dogecoin to pass Ethereum, which I predict will happen, especially after this news here of the security flaws that is starting to spread around, more people getting concerned. You see this 8 billion. That is approximately a 20x or so, which would lead Dogecoin to $1.20. Not actually as far out of the question as you may think for Dogecoin to be up there with Ethereum. At this point, Ethereum is so much smaller than it was that it's actually relatively viable, that it could pass it. And I think it's going to happen sooner than a lot of people are expecting. But this I thought was funny. Warning security dog, and you see there it's a goat. Not going to help too much unless, I don't know, actually goats... actually that could be pretty good, but it's funny. That just shows you what Ethereum is. It looks all tough, but in reality, Ethereum is definitely seriously flawed security-wise for its actual power long term. If it's just going to remain what it is now, something that's used for NFT, something that's used to build cryptos off of, there's nothing wrong with that. That makes sense. But if at any point it wants to truly become one of the main currencies used, it absolutely cannot, under any circumstances, have that major security flaw. So it outrules it, makes it impossible. South Korea seeks to freeze 62 million of Bitcoin linked to crypto founder Dogecoin as manhunt continues. That right there is pretty crazy. $62 million. We're learning how much he has. So a lot of people saying, Dogecoin himself said, I'm broke now. Are you though? If you have access, I'm sure he has access to secret wallets hidden all over the place. You really think a guy like Dogecoin wouldn't have put that in place? He knew ahead of time what was going to happen with Luna. He literally knew. That's why he dissolved his business only days before, most likely, allegedly, because he knew something was up. And so if he had a couple days in advance a guy as smart as that, who understands technology as much as him, you really don't think he's going to put stashes here and there, especially if he has access to that large of an amount of money? In fact, who even knows? Maybe he could have been part of the reason it fell so fast and so hard. That could be why South Korea, perhaps they know something we don't. That could be one of the reasons why they're so adamantly going against him. A lot of speculation coming around here. He seems like a pretty chill dude, but I don't know. He could certainly be more nefarious than we were led to believe. It's not something that's out of the question whatsoever. Congrats, Matt, to on moon. Matt Dogecoin to the moon. The matter of when. I like it there. LOL, that'd be nice, says G Smooth TV. Yes, that would be nice indeed. You said put your ETH address in the chat, and if one person didn't respond, yes, I did say that, then you give it to someone in the chat. I was the only one who put ETH address in, so Melvin Tavis saying that, actually, so I got a bunch of messages from people saying, hey, I tried to put my Ethereum address in. I was confused because I did not see any Ethereum addresses showing up. And I was like, does no one want to win $1,000? Here's what happened. So Melvin, I didn't see yours either. Everyone who put the ETH address, the YouTube comment section eliminates certain comments that it sees as spam, and they don't even show up. So I saw absolutely none of the addresses. That's why if you put your address, it probably felt like you were the only one who did it, because it felt like everyone was the only one who did it, which is kind of ironic. But yeah, that's what happened. So now we know we cannot do comment section giveaways, unfortunately. So we'll have to see. So basically, what I'm going off of is the people who actually messaged me directly saying, hey, I did this. I'm going off of those people. And so I'll pick randomly from one of the names there, and we'll have a winner. But yes, so sorry, Melvin. It's It's not the case. So Melvin says check, it's there. Okay, you know what, Melvin? If you were somehow able to get it through, that's impressive. Maybe if you like spaced it out or something. Melvin, I will check. If it's there, then and the guy has not claimed it yet, you know what? At the very least, I'll send you some coins. Why not? Because that's impressive that you're able to get it through. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think it's fair though if only some people are, I doubt it's there. It'll show up for you only. That's how the YouTube comment section works. You will see your comment there, but no one else can see it. YouTube's weird that way. So unless you checked with another account, then it's probably not actually visible. But I hope it is. That'd be cool. If it is, no matter what, I'll send you some of the coin. Just for fun, why not? But yeah, pretty crazy stuff there. And right now we also have something interesting to talk about here, which is the fact that the UK currency, the pound, has been seriously hurt over the last few decades. It is now under the value of the dollar. Let's go ahead and show that real quick. So right now the pound, I think a lot of people see it as just kind of like a secondary dollar in some ways, and it makes sense. USA have a lot of close ties together, but let me go ahead and show you this. So we'll say UK pound versus dollar. I'm gonna go ahead and do this here. And you can see, so 1.08 United States dollars. So look, it's gone below it for the first time. That's pretty crazy because the dollar's not doing well. So for the dollar to not be doing well, and for the UK pound to go this much below it, that just shows you that whatever the UK government's doing, do the exact opposite. Run as far away from them as possible, because they have turned into a very, very, very destructive government. Just look at that, an absolute rocket downwards for the UK pound compared to the dollar. While the dollar is also going down, it just shows you how much the UK pound would have to go down for that to happen, falling well below the price of $1. I remember it used to be higher, right, for a long time. I mean, even if you go back to 2020, and if you go back to 2018, for example, it was $1.40. So for it to go to $1.40 in just 3 years, now it's below that. It's pretty crazy to see how far it has fallen, and who knows what will happen next. But you can see a couple of charts to give you a better idea. So here's the GBP inflation since 1751 rather. You can see it's shifted back and forth, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue. That was when we actually had sensible governments who actually knew what the heck they were doing. And then after that, we started getting bad governments, and that's in both the USA and the UK. Shockingly, it's weird how that kind of happened, but I guess a culture shift across the globe kind of led to people stopping caring about actual fiscal policy and caring more about social issues. And, it's fine to care about social issues. I don't think that anyone has a problem with that, but there has to be a point when you say the most important thing the federal government does is fiscal stuff and foreign policy. Those are the two major lasting impact things that the federal government does. The states, for the most part, will decide most of the social issues on their own. And so there's kind of this contrast of where a lot of people have been led to believe that you're supposed to have the federal government to rely on for social issues. But really, throughout most of history, that's never been the case, and it's worked way better when that wasn't the case. And the states had that decision under them, because then you can move states based on which social issues you wanted, rather than trying to cram down social issues you believe on people who don't believe them throughout the entire country. And so I think the system's really just kind of broken in some ways now, and hopefully it'll be fixed. But yeah, that just gives you an idea of kind of what's happened over the last little bit. We have a big spike here. We had a spike in 1971 for the UK. And now, though, you can see adjusted for inflation, $100. It's just crazy how this has happened since 1971. It's just been a train wreck. I mean, you can see how responsible they were before then just boom, like crazy. I mean, look at this. It went from so here you see it going steadily up, like 222, 200, and all of a sudden 23,000. I mean, it's insane. Then here's another idea: buying power of 100 pounds over time, and by the way, that was in pounds too, not dollars, pounds, but 100 pounds over time. What it's been able to buy you right here. So $100 in 1971. Now that is worth 44 cents. So I mean, just ridiculous. And even if you just look in the past 20 years, it's fallen in half. And that's not necessarily the worst thing to have some inflation, but it's supposed to be steady inflation, not this insane craziness that we've seen lately, just from a complete and total lack of competency from politicians. And I think this is important to remember. It's not just the United States. It is other countries as well across the globe, even China, starting to get into the territory of bad decisions here. What in the world is wrong with the world? 2.4%, 1.8%, 6.49%. I mean, you just see shocking varying inflation numbers all the way throughout. And you compare that, if you go back, I mean, it used to be nothing. We would have positive inflation if in 1917. So here we have some bad inflation years. But before that, I mean, it used to be nothing. We'd have negative in many years for the UK. So it's just crazy how far it's come. And typically, even if you did see those big years, it wouldn't be consistent like it is now. Very, 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 very bad for anyone who wants to save long term. Very bad for people who want the government to be responsible. And I guess, I mean, it is what it is. What can we do about it? I guess we can vote. But, I mean, who can you vote for that's going to fix it? There's not a lot of people. I mean, is there anyone that can fix it? Arguably not. It's not like you can just say, okay, well, we can vote for this party, then they'll fix it. Well, no, probably not. There's no party right now that is in position to be able to fix it. And there's no party that truly understands fully exactly what needs to be done and how big of a problem it is even in many cases, which is shocking. You'd think at the very least people would realize that. But yeah, Bitcoin up a little bit on the last hour. And that is in contrast to what we're seeing in really the last few months, where it has gone down, obviously. But take a look at this. So we also have Bitcoin reserves that are now being fully and totally on the table for governments. This is not just the case with Dogecoin, which we've been talking about, with his $60 million or so that have been linked to him. It's also the case with countries like North Korea, where now we have governments moving and taking action to stop them from being able to use this. Also with Russia, we've seen huge amounts of actions being taken to stop them from being able to access cryptocurrency. The UK just took a move to try to ban Russian cryptocurrency payments, which is pretty crazy, because you have to understand, a lot of people in Russia are just normal citizens who don't even approve of what their government's doing. And now they don't have access to their cryptocurrency accounts, which means they have to use the Russian currency, which means now the Russian government has power over them again. So is that really a positive thing? Not necessarily. I mean, if you want to specifically freeze crypto assets of people who you say, okay, this person did this bad thing and they're part of the Russian government, all right, that's one thing. But that's a completely different story from saying all people in Russia, regardless if they're good people or bad people, none of them can get access to their own money just simply because of the fact that they live in that country. Now that's going to an extreme level. It doesn't make any sense. In fact, it does the exact opposite of what you want it to, because then those people in those countries now are even more dependent and reliant on their government, even more controlled by them. So it's pretty silly that's even an option on the table. But yeah, Dogecoin we'll have to refresh here because this is old, but Dogecoin back up a little bit from that dip, still sitting around 6 cents. It's been at 6 cents for so long here. Remember, that was where it was at for a while before the first major spike that we saw with Dogecoin. And so hopefully that's a sign, as it continues to go up, that we're getting closer and closer to that next big spike here. I mean, technically, I guess you could argue this was the first major spike going up. I mean, I was live for that, believe it or not. I was literally live as Dogecoin kept passing those cents marks, which was probably one of the best times ever. I would love to go back in time and just enjoy that moment for a little bit, because that was so much fun. Don't you remember? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But when we were live on Final Stand here, watching this happen, it was probably one of the best times you could possibly imagine. Just watching it, eating popcorn, potentially, whatever you're doing. Extreme excitement, extreme fun, not knowing what's going to happen next, not fully understanding the situation, but just being excited. That right there is just a beautiful thing that feels like it was so long ago now, but I would love to feel that again. I think we all would. We want to feel that feeling where it just goes crazy and you just feel like you're lifted off your seat and you're new to it and you're a little bit naive, but you still kind of understand it and you just want to see success and you're watching it go up and you see all these people tweeting and celebrities and boom, boom, boom. That right there is the energy that we will have again, and I cannot wait for when we do. It's going to be crazy. We want to get back and have that energy again, but hopefully this time significantly bigger. But yeah, it just gives you perspective. This is one of the reasons why we call such a hard floor here for Dogecoin. And once you see the big scale of the chart, you realize why there's such a strong chance of it going up. We've seen steady growth down, or steady falling down, not growth. If something grows down, you may need to get it checked. The only thing that should grow down is your whoo-hoo. But besides that, everything should be growing up. Did I make that sound right? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I made that sound right. There we go. I keep forgetting to move remind me to move my head, please. Head, get out of the way. We can see here the Dogecoin chart. It gives you an idea because we've been seeing steady fallage throughout this entire time. We have not seen a period this flat in a very long time for Dogecoin. The last time we saw a period this flat was right here and right here. And this wasn't even that flat. It just looks flat because it's so zoomed out. But right there, first really relatively flat period we've seen since then. And so that gives you an idea of one of the reasons why the floor signal is so strong. I called that floor when we were right around here. And so now we're all the way down here. very, very, very different storyline, very, very, very different look for Dogecoin, and you can kind of already start to see the picture, what it's going to do next. It will happen, and this time, similarly to this, just imagine, so if you can, imagine this, and it fell. Now imagine this, and it fell. And look what it did after this. Look how many times bigger it is than that. And so if we see the same thing here, that many times bigger, we're talking about off the page here. We're talking about huge numbers. We're talking about it passing Ethereum, becoming one of the top cryptocurrencies. Now, if Ethereum goes up with it, then I guess it wouldn't pass Ethereum, which is a possibility. But still, nonetheless, it's just such massive growth. And it'll be very positive to see for cryptocurrency. We want to see it sooner rather than later, obviously. But yeah, let me read a couple of these comments. If only we could go back so I could put every single dollar I've ever owned into it. Yeah, a lot of people, similar sentiment. Now, I did put a lot of money in it, so I can't say I have too many regrets. But sure, I mean, you can always say, oh, I wish I could go back in time and put even more. Why not? Uranium stocks outperforming crypto now, says Brian Carter. Actually, crypto is outperforming the stock market, the S&P 500. But yeah, there are specific stocks that will outperform crypto at any given point in time. Even during the bull markets, you can see some stocks that just go crazy too. It happens. But there's also going to be cryptocurrencies that massively outperform even those massively outperforming stocks. Perspective. That's what it's all about. I'm in Matt's Doge Den. Nice, says Wedgie Tables. Welcome to the Doge Den. Dogecoin spiking a little bit. Oh, really? Look at that. Sometimes it likes to spike while we're live. Let me go ahead and take a look at that and see what you're referring to. Is it spiking like right now? Yeah, a little bit. You mean on the day? Yeah, even right there. I mean, a tiny bump, but that's. I mean, we can't even really necessarily call that a spike. But yeah, a little bit of a bump there. But really, yeah, throughout the day, 2% spike. That's not bad. You know, it's a decent day for Doge. Anyway, I'm Matt Wallace. This is Final Stand, and I will see you in the next video.